This is Anna Constance, introducing another in the series of Artists in Minnesota. Today I'm going to interview Mark Hotchkiss, the guitarist. Hi, Mark.
Good morning.
Well, I'd like to ask you a whole lot of questions about your work. First of all, we have to start at the beginning.
All right.
Yeah. Now, where were you born?
Duluth, Minnesota, outside of Duluth, Minnesota.
So you're Minnesotan.
Right.
And you went to school there.
All my life. From there to St. Cloud State, to St. Scholastica, to UMD in Duluth.
Tell me about when did you first become interested in guitar or music?
Been interested in music ever since I was very small. I started playing guitar rather late, actually. I had been playing bassoon, wind instruments, and had been doing some playing with the symphony orchestra up there. And my dad bought me a guitar for Christmas, something I never considered. And
you take to it like a duck to water?
No, it took me a couple of years, as a matter of fact. And by the time I started college, I was playing seriously then.
Well, for myself, I think that it's complicated, the guitar with fingers here and you know, get all that music out. What I'd like to know about is how you get started, you know, just at the very, very beginning, since it did take you quite some time. I know some people just pick up a guitar and they play. I don't, you know, play by ear like people play piano by ear and stuff.
I guess you get started just like you do anything else. It's, some people are lucky enough to stumble upon their instrument right away. Other people play several before they actually find the one that they really want to play. Guitar does take a slightly different mindset than, say, the keyboard. I've had students that played keyboard as a major instrument and wanted to learn a little bit about the classic guitar. And it's confusing to them because they're used to having all their keys go up or go down.
Yes, right.
They're not, on the guitar you can play, well, some scales you can play up the scale going down on the neck, up the scale going up on the neck, and things like that, because the strings overlap like manuals on an organ, actually. So you can do all of these little tricks that, and it's confusing to people to.
I'm sure at first it must be, yes, going different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know about going in different directions because I really never even held a guitar, but I was really interested in that. And also what I want to do now is to, I think you're multi-talented because for the people who have seen shows on Channel 12, they've seen you do many things besides play guitar. I'd like you to tell us about some of the programs you've been on Channel 12.
Well.
That goes back a bit, huh?
Yeah. We had a great time doing the Terry Lova show.
That was on for several years.
Yes. And we had a really good crew for that. And what we wanted to learn, you know, what we do at ETC TV is a learning experience for everyone. And we wanted to learn how to do a live show, which takes a little bit more planning on the part of all of the crew. And also the talent has to learn how to wing it, as it were, when something goes wrong in the control room, and you have to learn how to keep conversation rolling, which Terry Lois is very good at. I'm not so good at, but
well, experience helps a lot, doesn't it? It's tremendous.
Right.
You know, the difference of having it and not having it.
Right. Terry's incredible. He can think of something to say when everything else is dried up.
Right on the spot.
Yeah. And I usually included a classical guitar spot on that show. And we sometimes had other musicians in. Jim Bauer, who plays both guitar and banjo, would have at least a semi-regular spot on that show. So we had a little variety there.
Well, that's good. I want the audience to see some excerpts from some of the shows. So that's what we're going to be showing now. And after that, we're going to talk about your work now. You're working at in Columbia Heights.
With Group W Cable in Columbia Heights.
Mm-hmm. And what is your position?
Down there, I'm an access coordinator, one of two access coordinators in Heights.
Yeah.
Doing pretty much the job the Willow Blosser does up here at Channel 12.
Yeah. That's a little bit of everything, isn't it?
A little bit of everything.
A whole lot. And when something goes wrong mechanically, that's
Well, it's a fun job because
Yes.
it's not, you're not behind a desk all the time. You get to make some TV, which is always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Teach the classes, and go out in the community and do some handshaking. So you get a lot more variety than you do at a lot of jobs.
Yeah. I think that's kind of fun, too, not to be sitting down all day. Well, when you studied in college, did you take music courses?
Yeah, I took a bachelor's in music that I finished in 1980 from the U of M. And my current job is something that I just fell into.
Well, you have all the background for it.
Well, I had the things I learned here at Channel 12, but I'd never gone to school or anything for it.
Well, it's being here is going to school, isn't it, in a way? So, when you were in Duluth, were you into music then?
Yes.
Back in Duluth.
Yes.
I mean,
I went to school there at UMD, and was, well, heavily into music up there. Every day up there.
Yeah. Right now, you're not able to be into music every day.
No, I'm real active in the musical community around town, and managed to keep in touch with everyone. But as far as recitals and that kind of thing, I don't do nearly as much as I used to. I'm kind of thinking of putting a recital together for this winter, but I'm not sure yet.
Around about Christmas or so?
Probably later in the year, February.
You have students that will be participating?
No, I no longer teach.
Oh, then you'll be on your own. You'll be practicing in your spare moments?
Yeah. Teaching is a lot of fun,
and
I like doing it, but there just hasn't been time.
No, it's only 24 hours in a day.
Right. About 26 hours, I think.
Yeah,
sometimes.
you've been busy that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, teaching is a learning experience, too.
Absolutely.
For the teacher.
Absolutely. The teacher learns a lot.
Very enlightening.
In fact, I maintain that even if you're a master at whatever you do, you can always learn something from a beginner.
Oh,
you know, almost any teacher can sit down and take a good lesson from a student. It works both ways.
Well, I think it's amazing since I teach dance, you know, because as a professional dancer, there were things I didn't know that I learned as a teacher. I wish I'd known, but you can't do that, you know. You learn, you know, little by little.
When I was going to school, I took a minor in voice also. And a lot of what you can do in voice also transfers over to how to breathe. You have, no matter what instrument you're playing, you have to learn how to breathe a phrase just as if you were singing.
With your guitar, or not just the ones that you were blowing?
Certainly. With guitar, with piano, whatever it is, you need to learn to breathe with your phrase, or however you're phrasing things.
Well, that's
and
interesting.
it relaxes your arms and shoulders and everything to the point where you can get that natural break.
Yeah, I guess it would make a difference. Well, breathing's important in dance too, I know, but I didn't think about it with a guitar or something like that. I guess I didn't think about it too much with piano. Some people do a lot.
Yeah.
They're very active.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'd like the audience to hear your classical guitar. You know what? I'd like you to name some of the music that we're going to have the audience listen to. So you want to name some different pieces that you have already performed here in Channel 12.
Well, let's see. On Channel 12, I've played, let's see, the Gymnopedes. I believe that's on some of those tapes, which is a, let's see, Gymnopedes was written in about 1884, I believe. 1883, mid-1880s, by Eric Satie, who was looking for small forms in music, trying, his writing is very modal in nature, rather than writing in modern key signatures. His music includes a key signature, but is frequently really in a medieval mode. To that, he was a piano player in both taverns and bawdy houses in London at the time, and he has some jazz influence also. And to the modal style, he adds sevenths and ninths and that kind of thing to the chord in inversions, giving it sort of this quiet ethereal quality when it's used in a mode, rather than slightly, well, I'd hate to call jazz brash, because jazz really isn't, but it is more laid back than jazz is.
And do you know how his work was accepted at the time he wrote it?
In some circles, he was fairly well accepted. He did some work, a lot of work with ballet, including, let's see, can't think of the name of the ballet, but there was, he did some work with Picasso, designing sets and music to go together, and things like that. He was also a very famous music critic of his day, and if you go to the library, you can find marvelously amusing criticisms and essays by Eric Satie on composers of the day.
Do you want to spell his name so that people may?
S-A-T-I-E. He, Eric. He was also a teacher of Debussy, and did some work with Ravel and the other famous French and some of the Russians of the day. But
well, Diaghilev brought new things into the ballet world, new music, new artists.
Right, right. In fact, I think that was the ballet person I was looking for that did some work. Did some work with Satie. He's very interesting. He's just become more popular the past few years again. And most of his smaller forms, like the gymnopedies, there's 3 gymnopedies, one of which I have on tape here, is originally written for keyboard, but it sets and sounds very nice on guitar. Then there's one of the preludes, guitar preludes by Ponce, the Spanish composer. And most of the preludes, I think I have the 7th on tape.
I'd like people to hear that one then.
Okay. 7th out of 12, most of which were written for Andres Segovia, the Spanish guitarist. And I'm also very fond of those pieces. I tend to play a lot of the semi-moderns, the nationalists, impressionists, and neo-impressionists like Satie and Ponce and those people.
What do you think would be a good order for arranging them?
I think maybe start with the Stephen Paulus piece, which is called 4 Conversations with Guitar. And then possibly the Gymnopedies. Gymnopedy number 1 by Eric Satie. Then the Ponce.
And in,
no time.
in contrast to your class guitar, we won't be able to show the audience you playing any other style, as it were.
No.
No, not yet.
No, not yet. I play lute,
Mm-hmm.
Renaissance lute, but at the time I don't have a lute to demonstrate anything on. So.
Well, some of your classic guitar goes back to Renaissance time, the music, right?
Right, and most of that music is lute music, pretty much. The tuning of the Renaissance lute and the guitar is very close. It's slightly different, but the guitar can be retuned
To sound.
to play from Renaissance tablature. It's a minor third higher than modern tablature, but you can just read it off the page, off the lute page. Baroque music, again a little later than that, is a slightly different tuning and than the Renaissance or the modern guitar. So actually, to play classical guitar and play all the eras, you have to know how to play in 3 or 4 different tunings.
This is all very interesting to me because I'm just aware of the piano, sort of.
Uh-huh.
I think most people start with piano when they start music, usually. Did you?
No. I started with,
When?
well, let's see. I started with accordion, of all things, playing accordion. And didn't really dislike it, but it didn't have the versatility that I was looking for. I tend to be a real homebody. I hate to go places to practice, like organists do and keyboard players frequently have to do.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the reasons I chose classic guitar is you can play it at home, you can play harmony, you can play virtually everything that you could play on a keyboard. But it's compact, you can take it camping.
Yes.
And it's very easy to practice at home with because the instrument doesn't have enough volume to scare the people upstairs.
Oh, I was going to say about the neighbors.
Right, and all that kind of thing.
It's okay that way. That's nice. Yeah. Not only that you can practice at home, but I think it'd be nice for them to hear it too. As long as there isn't drums.
Yeah, right.
Some are too loud to get through and break your eardrums.
But I've never had a neighbor yet complain about classical guitar music.
Did they come over and say, play some more?
I've had that happen, yeah, when a neighbor has knocked on the door.
Yeah. Well, what else can you tell me now about yourself?
About myself, I don't know. I've often thought that, I've often wondered what I would have done different with my education or something. You know, classical guitar, it's hard to make a living at that. And I've done that before, but it's not a lot of fun wondering where your next meal is coming from.
Never, but
the more I look back upon it, I can't imagine what I would have done. I would have probably done it the same way, gone to school for the same thing.
Well, artists don't always think about, you know, they want to do their art.
Right.
And they don't.
And Minnesota is such a hot spot for local art in dance and theater and music and everything.
Oh, it is, yes.
It's, I'm frequently able to play brand new music by Minnesota composers, such as Daniel Sturm, Stephen Paulus. Stephen Paulus, I have something of his on tape, little 4-movement thing that there was a bunch of us at a party one night, and Stephen Paulus, who'd never written anything for guitar, writes mostly for opera, actually. And some of the guitar teachers there from the universities were saying that there's lots of good classical guitar music around, especially moderns, but there wasn't any good high-quality simple music for beginners to play. And so Steve was coerced into writing this little 4-movement thing, which is very simple. A rank beginner can learn to play it, but is also very high quality. Yeah.
There's a lot of places to play. I was going to ask you, where are some of the places that, outside of this Channel 12, that you have played and performed? I mean, concert work.
Concert work? Well, naturally, at UMD, where I went to school. I was a performance major there, so by requirement, I had to do at least one recital a year. But I had a very good duet partner up there that I still get together with once in a while to play duets. And we sometimes did 3 or 4 recitals a year. Other than that, I played in ensembles also in St. Cloud State, both singing and playing lute, and Bemidji State, and also down here once when I was still going to school up there, and some solo work at St. Scholastica, naturally UMD, and the University of Wyoming, of all places. I used to play some Renaissance lute songs, never really did it with guitar, but with lute and voice. There's huge amounts, a huge repertory of Renaissance lute songs from about 1450 until the beginning of the Baroque period. Hundreds upon thousands of them.
Where are they all stored away?
Huge amounts are stored in the world's major libraries, such as the Smithsonian, various monastic libraries in Italy and Spain, and the Royal Academy of Music. John Dooland, the English Renaissance lutenist and lute song composer, who was lutenist to Queen Elizabeth I. There's still a Dooland family that are still making money off his music because he was a prolific enough composer so that they still own the originals of his manuscripts.
Copyrights from that far back.
Yeah, they don't have they don't have copyrights naturally on them anymore, but they have the the originals. And every now and then I'll read that the Dooland family has sold a manuscript of such and such to the Smithsonian or to the Royal Academy or that sort of thing. And now with modern printing, facsimile editions and that sort of thing, it's very easy to get music that old in the composer's own hand, made by facsimile printing, which is a boon for all musicians.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And especially when you start looking at people like Bach, who wrote out a number of different versions of so much of their music, and you can go back to the source and separate what the composer did and what the editor did, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, music, like dance and other things, changes when
Certainly.
down the line, as it were.
Certainly. When a painter finishes a painting, that's it. But in
luckily,
but in music and dance, every performance is different.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with drama. And then the artist's interpretation. Okay, well, I think we'll call it a day then. This is Anna Constance closing another in the Artists in Minnesota programs, and I hope you'll be viewing more of them. Bye now.